Tali, welcome to Cap Talk. It's such a pleasure to meet you today.
Thank you for inviting me. This is really nice.
Thank you so much. Well, we're really excited to hear about this development that you've been talking to us about, this major construction that's taking place in South Africa.
Absolutely. The Johannesburg Holocaust and Genocide Center. It's such an amazing project because the city of Johannesburg and the Johannesburg Holocaust and Genocide Center are creating possibly the biggest museum of its kind in Africa here in Johannesburg, on Jan Smuts Avenue, opposite the Westcliff Hotel. And it is a museum, educational center, resource center for the public, kids, teachers, students, teaching about genocide and how we can prevent genocide from happening in the world, how we can prevent mass atrocities, human rights abuse, specifically in South Africa and Africa. That is our focus.
And I'm assuming you will also have an outreach program in place. Now, you have two centers already in Durban and one in Cape Town, but I suppose, and I'm assuming these outreach programs and the links to international organizations is pivotal for this organization.
Absolutely, absolutely. First of all, we're so fortunate because there is a foundation in South Africa called the South African Holocaust and Genocide Foundation. As you said, there are centers in Durban, in Cape Town, and now we started operation 5 years ago, and we are operating here in Gauteng, and we are connected to organizations all around the world. Only last month in April I was in Rwanda. We work very closely with Rwanda because we are telling the story of the Rwandan genocide, for example. And that is here in our continent, 3.5 hours flight away from us. Same time, same month, same year as we voted for democracy, they went into genocide. So there is so much to learn and so much that we can offer the world and so much that we can learn from the world as well.
But as a Holocaust Center, there's a lot of attention still being given to the tragedy, perhaps the greatest tragedy in human history that took place under the Nazi regime. And you're still telling that story.
Absolutely.
What are we most likely to encounter in these museums that's been set up, and how will this also help in transforming the human spirit?
Oh, that's such a beautiful question, because we really do look at key historical examples of genocide, and in our museum in Johannesburg the key two examples will be the Holocaust and the genocide in Rwanda in 1994. However, we will look at genocide in general. So for example, we are looking at the genocide of the Herero in Nama, at what is today Namibia, and that happened in 1904, again here, our doorstep. And those tragic, horrific acts of murder, mass murder, in the Holocaust 70 years ago, Rwanda 20 years ago, hopefully will teach us what not to do, how to prevent from repeating the same mistakes. And I'll give you one very quick example. The Holocaust and the genocide in Rwanda can teach us about the fragility of democracy, about how important democracy is. And here in South Africa, with our very young democracy, only 20 years, I think it's such a key example of learning of how to safeguard democracy here. And that is a key element that we are covering in our museum.
Now, besides looking at genocide and looking at the history and the past, let's talk a little about human rights abuses, because that's also a focus area.
Absolutely.
And which countries in Africa really stands out for you in terms of human rights abuses, where there should be an outreach to those countries?
So allow me to actually start here in our home with issues of xenophobia, for example, or homophobia, where we're covering in special programs outreach. We're going to schools, we go to universities, and we cover issues of xenophobia and homophobia, because yes, we are a democracy, yes, we have the most amazing constitution in the world, but until we don't live it, we don't actually internalize it and live it fully, we have to work on that. And then around Africa, we sadly have very worrying factors. Let me talk about Central African Republic and South Sudan as two extremely worrying examples where we are afraid that it's going towards genocide, actually. I read this morning a report about South Sudan that seems as if mass atrocities are happening, mass rape, abduction, threatening, killing, injuring, torturing. And this should not happen in our continent after all we witnessed in the world.